Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Susanna Song. I'm the Director of Marketing and Communications. Welcome to our inaugural Highwire University course on core values, processes, as well as customers. And there is no one better to teach this class than our CEO and President, Mark Porter. He has 22 years in the technology business, presided over Highwire's growth from $500,000 to nearly 25 million, focused on strategy, key relationships, people in the business. He lives in the Chicago area with his wife and two children. And many of you already know this, but he has a passion for business, helping other entrepreneurs and the next generation. In fact, he has helped tremendously with the local high school in our area with their incubator course, helping young juniors and seniors figure their way into creating products and teaching them marketing and other very important skills. So he is a phenomenal leader, and I'm going to hand it over to him to take it away and kind of give us an idea of what Highwire core values are all about. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning. Thank you, Susanna. So thanks to all of you for joining today. I know everybody's got a lot going on. See some familiar names out there. So first and foremost, thanks to those of you who are business partners who've helped us out in the field, doing work for us on our behalf with our clients. It's incredibly awesome to get the chance to talk to you guys, and thank you for what you do. I used to get out and about in the pre-COVID days and get a chance to talk to you face to face from time to time, but it's a little harder these days. So thank you very much. And it is my most sincere hope that coming out of this course, you will get a better understanding about Highwire Networks, our expectations, what we would like to see from you in the field, and how we operate, and understanding that if you're not seeing these core values and behaviors exemplified in the way you work with us, we want to know about it, and we want to constantly be improving. So, Susanna, if you could advance to the next slide, please. By the way, that's an awesome intro. It's almost like I wrote it myself. Let's see here. A little bit about the company, just to give you guys an idea. If you don't know about us, we were founded in 2000 around a very simple idea, which was to deliver services for other people, very specifically at the time around Nortel Networks Technologies. 2008, like December 9th of 2008, Nortel went bankrupt, which was a bad day in Highwire's history. At the time, probably a good day in retrospect, and I'll talk about that for just a minute. Nortel went the way of the dodo bird and bankrupted on us, stuck us for almost $700,000 worth of receivables. And for the next 2 years, we learned some really, really hard lessons, because on top of all that going on, that was our third customer bankruptcy in 90 days, and there was a little bit of a banking crisis, as you all might recall. So we spent a couple of years learning how to reinvent ourselves and focusing on delivering a wider variety of services, not becoming single-threaded, and have really grown and evolved since that time period. Looking back, as I shared, at the time, it seemed like the most miserable, horrible thing in the world to have happened. But in hindsight, especially with all this crazy COVIDness going on, that era probably prepared our team for this current crisis in which we have all found ourselves, and put us in a much better position as a company that runs extremely conservatively and acts quickly when there are problems. So while the services that we deliver have changed over the years, our channel-only approach has not. We work with channel partners, and that makes life sometimes a little more complicated for those of you in the field delivering on our behalf, as we all have multiple customers in this venture every time we get out to site. So it's important to understand how that works. We work across three main segments today: commercial and industrial electrical, with projects that range from the sort of the lather, rinse, repeat variety of the $500 to $1,000, few hours on site, on up to last year. We did our largest project was over $4 million in the industrial electrical space. We operate in the tri-state area around Chicago, so that's northern Illinois, Indiana, and Wisconsin. We operate with our own crews, our own trucks, full-time electricians, lifts, trailers, all that great stuff. And then nationally through a network of partners. And a little bit with nationally, we've been experimenting on some larger scale jobs with travel crews. So technology, we install technology globally, vendor agnostic, technology agnostic. We work in about 180 countries in any given year, and everything from layer one work with structured wiring on up to more complex white glove services, working for some of the largest companies in the world, companies like Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, et cetera, through our partner network, and lots of small customers. So everywhere in between. And then our newest venture is our Overwatch cybersecurity platform, delivering managed cybersecurity as a service. And for us, we've taken the approach that cybersecurity is a business problem, not a technology problem. So a little bit of a unique angle on that. For those of you who might be interested, if you have not seen, we do also offer our corollary to this series, our Overwatch University platform. In that platform, if you're interested in learning more about cybersecurity and eventually interested in learning to become an analyst or maybe work with us in a different way in that space with certified incident response teams and things of that nature, strongly encourage you to go to our highwirenetworks.com/Overwatch page and find out about our Overwatch University and that program, or just reach out to any of us over here. You can find all of our contact information on the web. We're not hard to find on our website. So go to the About Us page. So this entire course is about core values, and I'm not going to read the slide to you or anything of that nature, but in fact, for those who know me well, I hate PowerPoint, but it gives us a guideline to talk through some things. And I'm going to go through these as quickly as I can and open up for questions and try to make this as beneficial for you guys as possible. Use your time as well as we can here. For us, having clearly defined, written, and documented core values that we can talk about and discuss, helps give us a common language throughout the business. And for myself as the CEO and the primary owner of the entity, it's nice to know that everybody truly understands what we expect. The process of defining these core values and getting them documented is actually a really unique process. And the way we went about it through a facilitated process that we use called the EOS is we actually sat down and we starts with naming 5 people that are critical to the business, or 5 people that you admire in the business, ideally within the business, but you can name others. And then honing in on those character traits and those things that make them so special to the business. And what you come to find through that process is that you have a great collection of people as you build a business, ideally. If you don't, you probably need to figure that part out, because you'll never achieve scale. Once you go through that process and hone in on it, it's absolutely critical to really get those things documented and refined, and then to talk about them at least quarterly, talking about them with their employees. If you're curious about ours, we're going to go through them one by one here really quickly. So we'll go through them, but you can also find them on our website as well. So all of these points, all those points just listed are reasons why we think it's important. There's many more, and I could go on and on about them. You can go to the next page, Susanna. Thank you. So this is a really, really important thing. Our first core value is trust. We don't sell service, we sell trust. We do service. Even at that, I talk to people about the fact that it's not what we do, it's how we do it that has some sizzle or sex appeal or makes our business interesting and scalable. And it starts with trust. It takes forever to earn a customer's trust and just seconds to screw that up. And no matter how much trust a customer has placed in me personally, or an account executive, a program manager, a project manager, anybody in the organization, if you as a representative of yourself, us, and our client on site do something that betrays that trust, we all suffer. That trust is broken. And it's really critical that you understand, who you're working for, why you're there, what you're there to do, and make sure that everything you do helps support the trust in the relationship. We're working with someone else's customer, someone that, has put their reputation on the line to get us to this place. And while we often walk through these things because they're routine day-to-day activities, this is a critical experience to that person that you're out there helping. You're making a difference for them by either getting them back up into service or putting something in place that's going to create less disruption in their business, whatever. They're trusting you to get it done. Our customers are trusting you to do it the way that they want it done, and we have to make sure that we do everything possible to put you in a situation to win. But it's critically important to understand that trust is the underpinning of every single thing that we do here. Next slide. I apologize for having to say next slide, guys. My computer started crashing right as this was working, so I couldn't drive it myself. So special thanks to Susanna for the assist. Results. We're results driven. You might think out in the field, maybe this doesn't apply to you. We talk about results internally and knowing what's expected of you. All of our account executives have quota commitment forms that we make them go through every year and commit to certain revenue targets and certain gross profit targets and those things. We work all the way down through our program managers to make sure that they understand those pieces as well. And that's a commitment that they make in writing at the beginning of every year. They present their results to their entire peer set. That's all well and good, but how does this apply to you? It applies to everybody in our business. The results are really cut and dried when you leave a site. Was the customer satisfied? Did you fix it? Could you have fixed it, but we left and didn't finish it, and now we have to come back? So there's really some clear-cut ways that you can focus on this. When you're on site for us, focus on driving that result. Make sure that they're happy when you leave. Ask if there's anything that we could have done better and provide that feedback to the dispatcher that you're working with. Provide that in your closeout notes. Do whatever it takes to make sure that they're happy. That is the result. The result is a good experience, right? Or the best possible experience, because if you're, we're often left in a situation, this is a common situation where when we get there, the customer's angry because they've been waiting for a day. They weren't waiting for you for a day. We might not have even known about it till a few hours ago, but maybe our customer sat on it or whatever happened. So at the end of the day, know that you might be walking into a challenging situation and turn that around. That's a result, right? So focus on the outcome and deliver the best result that you can. Next slide. Innovate. Be innovative. We talk about here that nothing is impossible until we prove it is. You have to start with the why. Why aren't we doing it this way? Could we do it differently? Is there a better way to get this done? Sometimes there is, right? But just because there's a better way doesn't mean we can do it. When we're dealing with large-scale projects, the process has to be honored, those sorts of things. But provide the feedback and never be afraid to share your ideas with our staff on ways we can improve. In fact, after this session, if you feel so inclined, we'd love to get your feedback on things that we can do better. We're always trying to be better. We're always trying to have the best ratings from you guys on our interactions. Proud to say we actually maintain that on Work Market considerably. Our customers, our SAT with our workforce is 99.9 most of the time. And when it's not, those comments usually get some sort of reaction from myself, sometimes reaching out and asking people, how can we do better? Surprises some folks, but it matters to us. You guys are our human capital. You're our partners in this business, and we need you. The bottom line is, if you see a better way, feel free to share it. We value your feedback, but always look for ways to be more efficient that tie into the results like we talked about and that better customer experience. Company first. This one is sometimes challenging for people to understand. Everybody's an individual and everybody is valued as a human being. But just like in this COVID era where we had to make some changes quickly in the business, if we didn't make those changes quickly, there'd be no company to come back to when our customers need us and when this thing is over or we decide to live with it or whatever the outcome is. The point of this is not that any individual or any one person doesn't matter. Everybody matters, but there has to be a company, a bedrock that we all look to first and foremost. Without the healthy organization, there's just nothing left for the individual to do. There are no jobs if the company isn't solvent, if the company isn't focused on execution. So if you've ever played team sports, I'm a big believer in athletics. I'm a big believer in coaching. I've always tried to coach kids and give back even before I had mine. When you're coaching, there's something about learning to be part of a team, learning to be something about something that's greater than just yourself. The company has to come first in our thought process. And even as a leadership team, I talk about this all the time to our customers. We have to make decisions along a decision tree that makes sense. And that always starts with what's right for the company, then what's right for the stakeholders. And the stakeholders are not the shareholders. The stakeholders are the people who are employed by the business. They're our customers. They're the people who are impacted by the business. Then what's right for our shareholders. Then what's right for me personally as a shareholder, as the CEO, as an owner of the business. That has to come last. If I make decisions in that order, those decisions will always have the right impact. If I were to reverse that order and start with what's best for me, it would be at the expense of the business, and that would be at the expense of all of you guys. So that's why we talk about the company comes first, and that's often misunderstood, but it's really a critical part of our core values. Next. Customer focused. This, I think, is the most real conversation that we always have to have. Customers can be challenging. Customers can be demanding. End users often don't know what they're saying or don't say what they mean. They say one thing and it means something else. We have to be patient. We have to be smart about what we say to the customers. And we have to always remember that they are our customers. One of my customers in the very earliest days of my entrepreneurship had a saying, and not a saying, they actually had their paychecks signed and it said, your customer. It didn't have the CEO's name. It didn't have, this is, I guess, dating myself. Back in the days when you actually used to have live checks written to employees, they had it written right on there so that their employees knew, and this was an organization with, I think, 10,000 employees at the time. They always had a reminder that their paycheck was written by the customer. And that's really critically important because without our customers, we have nothing. So they're not always right, but they are always the customer. Reliability. Ladies and gentlemen in the field, this one applies to you guys more than anything else. If you want more work from us, if you want to know what drives our team to choose you, if you want to know what we value above all else when it comes to our partners in the field, it's reliability. If you have a high cancellation rate, if you cancel on us, if you cancel on the customer, we know things come up. They happen all the time. If you are not deemed to be reliable, you will end up on the short end of the stick very quickly. You do what you say what you're going to do, all of those pieces. We are counting on you to show up. If you are going to be late, we need to know. If you're going to miss a commitment, we need to reset it as quickly as possible. I get more angry texts, angry phone calls, angry emails over a service ticket for 2 hours. That's a couple $100 than I do over a $20,000 mistake on a project. You cannot underestimate how important it is to be reliable. This also goes for our team. If our team is leaving you hanging, if you're not getting the responsiveness that you need, if you're not being followed up with when you're waiting for a part or waiting for a reschedule, we need to know those things. So that's really critically important because we expect our team to be accountable and reliable to each other. Next. Okay, so we got through that rather quickly, about 5 minutes ahead of where I was at. Before we open up for questions, if anybody has them, if you have them, please submit them for the webinar platform. But I just want to recap that all of those things go together and all of those things lead to a successful engagement with a client, whether it be 2 hours, 2 days, or 2 years. And hell, we've got some that are, in their second decade at this point. So all of these core values are the foundation for the processes that we develop and use with our folks in the field. They're all the underpinnings of how we run our meetings, how we make our decisions on personnel and our human capital, and how we make decisions on where we're going as a business. And when we have employee reviews, these are things that we're focused on how we review against them. They're also how we review our partners in the field, our human capital that works with us on a variable basis. We're looking at those same things. And I think the more you guys understand that about us, the easier it'll be to work with our organization, and the better you can understand our expectations. And it's hard. We need to talk a lot more about this to a lot more folks. We leverage about 5,000 contractors in any given year around the world. The more we can get a clear understanding to you of our expectations, the more I believe that we should expect better results. So with that, I'm done. And Susanna's got a preview of the next, I think the next slide is a reminder to register for our class with Charles Hughes, our Chief Operating Officer, who is a fantastic guy, a great speaker, and has extensive experience in the business. So somebody you should know and somebody you should want to listen to. So with that, I will open it up to questions. I see a comment, no questions. I appreciate your comment, Louis. We appreciate the work that you do, and glad you enjoy working with us. But it's you guys have our appreciation because you make our business better.
And if you guys, this is Susanna, if you guys think of questions to submit, I am going to actually put out a poll out there for you guys to answer, just 2 polling questions. So if you can please answer these 2 questions, that would help us out tremendously, kind of help you guys do your jobs better and figure out even future courses for Highwire University. So take some time to fill out the polling questions or answer them, and then if you look at the bottom of your screen, there should be a button for Q&A. Submit questions there, or as Lewis did and Novid did, feel free to, message us through the chat button as well. Okay, we have one question, Mark. One question came in. Do you prioritize one core value over the others, or are they all the same in terms of priority?
That's a great question. I don't think that you can look at these in a vacuum. If you in general, and this is, I guess, editorializing a little bit, this is as much my personal opinion about how to conduct your life and how to run your business. If you were to prioritize anyone or say that anyone is more important than the others, that might lead to sort of giving short shrift or not, taking the others into account. I believe that these are sort of like a finely woven fabric, and when you look at these things together, you're looking for these traits in every single individual in the organization, and that includes our contract base. We're looking for these things in people because if we're not exhibiting all of them in every interaction with the client, for instance, if we put results ahead of trust, you might get a good result, but have done something that undermines the foundation of the relationship. Even just a little bit, that's bad, right? Or we got a great result, but we were there 2 hours late and the customer was down. How much opportunity did they lose in that time? How much inconvenience did they have? And could we have made that experience better? So you can see just in a couple of small examples how they work together. I really like to think of it, in tech terms, it's a cohesive network. It's a finely tuned network that works well, has no bottlenecks and no lag, right? In terms of human beings, it's the, it's our soul. It's the core of our being. And these things are hard to hide. I actually think that if you don't exhibit all of them, it will start to come out and look like character flaws in a lot of ways. So, hope that makes sense. Great question.
Guys, we still have 30 minutes of Mark's time. He's the CEO and president. He is, all ears right now. If you guys have any questions, I think he's even willing to take questions outside of the topic of core values, as long as they're appropriate. So feel free.
I'm willing to take questions even if they're inappropriate, Susanna. So you know me very well. Yeah, guys, this really is an opportunity. If you have any suggestions or any thoughts, any questions, and I'll just throw this out there for all of you who are running your own small business. If you ever have any questions about how to grow your business with us, how to grow your business outside of us, what works in terms of marketing, etc. If you have any questions on that, I'm always open, not just in this forum if you're shy about asking or whatever. Please feel free to reach out afterwards. So not going to force anybody to ask questions or whatever. This is a pretty straightforward topic, but.
Looks like we got another question, Mark. Do you ever contract out documentation or training?
Yes, depending on the line of business, and depending on the finite resources, right? So I kind of take those in two different ways, in two different pieces, and then maybe there's some follow up. That's a really good question. So we try to focus on documenting our core processes first, and then sub processes after that. And we're also focused very keenly right now on documenting end to end certain processes, certain steps all the way through. We have quarterly meetings with a facilitator that are really critical, and this was one of the topics that came up. We're trying to build an entire library of training training is such a broad topic. So we're trying to build an entire library of training for our field engineers, from everything from how we want cables terminated. We're a national Hubble integrator. So how do we roll out some of the big C standards? How do we get training into your guys' hands, or at least a set of expectations, right? And then train on those expectations. And in that discussion, and this is a lengthy story, but in that discussion, what came up was, if we're talking about the library that we need and we want to have this done, it's a quarterly rock, which means it has to be done for the individual who took it on. If we're talking about an entire library, that's a massive undertaking. If that was 30 things in total, that couldn't happen. So we honed in on the top 5. Sometimes we'll contract out portions of that because it makes more sense for expediency, and we have limited numbers of resources. In the second quarter, we had some staff reductions with the COVID stuff. We're bringing people back fast, and we're seeing, the good news for you guys is, in terms of general business conditions, we're seeing a general snapback from our largest customers. We expect some of our other customers, we're seeing a bounce back, but it's a little more slow and cautious. We expect that we'll see more of that. So with a finite number of resources, we'll be making decisions on what of that training we'll do internally, what we'll do externally. In our Overwatch business, our cybersecurity business, we have training that we have outsourced partners that are helping to deliver, or we have software vendors need to step up and deliver that for our team in those pieces. In our electrical business, we have a professional safety consulting firm that we spend, I don't know, it's a 5-figure thousands of dollars on annually to come in and train our staff, because it's that important. Safety is the beginning and end of everything in that business. Safety is something we talk about a lot here, by the way, and need to be talking to guys in the field about a lot more. So that's a great question, Lewis, and I appreciate it. So we do contract out pieces of it based on availability. We have some tremendously experienced people internally. It is oftentimes just a matter of, not enough hours in the day.
Okay.
David, I see David's question here about the recording. Yes, there will be a recording, and I'll be doing the session also later this afternoon if you want to participate live.
Yeah, there's a 5 o'clock session. Just go to our website and register for that class, David. And we also have a very cool YouTube library. That's my little plug, a YouTube page. So if you subscribe to that, you'll get all of these videos as well. One other person is asking, Mark, what would be a good way to get more work from Highwire? Thank you for that question.
Yeah, so to get more work from Highwire and from the team that doles it out, just be clear, there was a time when I was probably relevant to that, but that time has long since passed. I don't have a tremendous influence over who gets what. The best way to get more work out of the company is to execute, to follow these core values, and to follow the processes and follow instructions. I cannot stress enough how important it is to check in and check out in real time for us and to get us your invoice. For those of you who don't know this, we like to pay you. We pay on time. In fact, last time I checked, we were paying early on average. We approve your assignments quickly. We value, and I get feedback from all of our contractors, we generally pay a pretty decent wage compared to others. And we value your guys' contributions. We would expect in return that you value the relationship as well. And that's demonstrated by following those core values and executing, not words, right? That the actions speak far louder than words. Our customers want to be invoiced quickly, which is a great thing. They pay slowly. We pay you guys way faster than we get paid. But our customers want to be invoiced. So the faster you send us your details, the faster we can get you paid, and the better the customer experience is overall for our customers. And I'll just share this. I implore you to think through the person that you're talking on site with. You're sort of selling through them, right? We talk about or think a few steps above that. That person is important, but so is the dispatcher, project manager, project coordinator you're working with, and so is our customer upstream and the account executive and the CEO of their team, right? So every one of these customers we're working with, there's a lot more people involved. So when you're saying things or you're talking to them or you're influencing that experience and that outcome, you have to be thinking through that person all the way up the chain about what's going on, right? So we speak carefully, we speak thoughtfully, and we speak strategically, right? Those are really important lessons. And I can't tell you how many phone calls I get that say, they start with, "You're not going to believe this," or "You won't believe what so-and-so said." They're right in a way that I don't believe it, certainly not until, if it's gone to me, you'll probably hear from me because I want to hear your side of it. But I start with believing none of what I hear and only half of what I see, drawing on my training as a police officer in my 20s. And then we go from there. So we get everybody's side of the story and we pick it up. But you need to think carefully about what you're saying. And like I said, really speak and think strategically. Think through that person that's in front of you and all the way up the food chain. When you're dealing with a Fortune 100 customer, that there's a lot of stakeholders involved, and the slightest thing can cause a big issue. So avoiding those missteps that are oftentimes self-inflicted or seem very minor, they can get blown up pretty substantially by the time I hear about it. So thank you for that question.
Okay, I think people have had the opportunity to submit questions, and we did get a few great questions come in. If you think of any more, I will be sending an email out tomorrow to all the attendees, and you can just reply to my email and ask questions as you think of them throughout the day. A quick reminder that if you want CPE credit for today's session, you have to log into our partner portal, and the email that goes out tomorrow will have all that information, all of the login information, the steps to take to access our portal. And then, as Mark mentioned earlier, we are offering a second course on customer satisfaction in multi-tiered environments, and that will be instructed by our COO, Charles Hughes. I know many of you have already registered for that, but if you haven't, just go to our website, highwirenetworks.com. On our homepage, there is a button for Highwire University. We are offering these monthly till the end of the year. We cover topics from customer sat to branding, project methodology. We thought as a team, what topics that we felt would benefit you. So these are all free courses. Again, you can get CPE credit all great things to further your career. And I did mention in the announcement that if you do earn 6 credits, you would be considered for Highwire University approved, which would give you preferred status for our service jobs. So keep that in mind. If you can't make it to one of our courses, again, you can listen to the recording and then take the CPE test or exam, and we will follow up with you guys at the end of the year. So thank you so much. Thank you, Mark, for your time. I hope you guys enjoyed today's session. Have a great day, and we will see you back here in a month. Bye, guys.